Hi guys, welcome back. Today, you're probably going to want to get a notepad, and this could be long, I don't know, but I have a lot to share. So, you guys know I took last week off, and I've been diving deep into creating content for the classes that are coming out soon. And in that, it made me kind of pull back from this tuning into others, which is so interesting. This dance of like being a creative individual and bringing out things, but normally I'm tuned into what's happening outside of me to know what to speak about in these episodes. So when it came to this week coming up with what am I talking about, every time like I got like an idea or something, it felt like just a wisp of air that was driving like going by, but I couldn't quite grasp what wanted to actually be birthed through me in this time space. And then I realized, oh, it's because I'm trying to look outside of myself to find what the collective energy is. Instead, I'm supposed to share what I'm going through right now. So this is going to be a health update, but also all of the tools that I've been working with over the last maybe 2 months. Yeah, about 2 months. And it's, I'm going to start by saying I am not a medical professional. Everything that has come into my path has been through intuition, through guidance, through synchronicities, through just me knowing and deeply trusting the process of this, journey. And, I have gotten a lot of signs that I'm on the right path, but I don't have anyone else that I can credit as bringing all of them to me. So for trusting my intuition, I'm sharing that intuition and all of the things that have come through this progression of the last 2 months. So, like 2 months ago, I shared all of a sudden I started my premenopausal experience. And I had been talking to friends about how they dealt with it. I've talked to my mom. I went to my gynecologist, and I started gathering information and feeling into what was the right avenue for me. And the more that I explored it, I realized that, this is the feeling that I had behind it. Our ancestors did not have hormones to put into their body to help them get through menopause. And every person that I said that to told me, yeah, well, they only lived to like 30 or 40, so they didn't experience menopause like we're experiencing it now. And I think there's some truth to that, but I also believe that nature provides for us, and there are ways that we can combat, what we feel as discomfort and go through it smoothly and naturally. So that led me on a deep dive into understanding what herbs and what things were used, how was this dealt with? And one of the main herbs that was used is called black cohosh. And so then I, went on this search to find what carries this. And I found this women's hormonal balance tincture on Amazon, which I'm going to link everything I talk about below. This is a tincture. It's very sweet, and I just put it under my tongue, a dropper full every day. So that was the first thing that came into my life, and I didn't notice a change right away from this tincture. I still was having night sweats and not able to sleep. Those were my two main symptoms. Then, as I was researching, I found out about something called Estroven. And Estroven is it's a drug-free, non-GMO product that this particular one uses, oh my God, I'm totally forgetting what it's called, rhubarb. And it combats hot flashes, night sweats, sleeplessness, low energy, mood swings, and more. I'm telling you, this pill, it's like a little tiny, tiny pill, and it came into my life, and within 4 days, completely symptom-free. And I'm telling you, I have not had any hot flashes or night sweats since starting it about 4 days in. They're inexpensive. They are not chemical free. It's all natural substances and it works. So I don't know if, like I told my mom, like, why aren't you on this? Have you heard of this? Like, and I know that some women have a more difficult time with premenopausal than others. But for me, these two things, they completely took all the symptoms away. Now, in my deep dive, I also, came across, and I talked about this in another episode about the etherealization of the blood. One of my sisters brought in this, their message about the white blood count, and they were called the Gabriels. Well, you know me, I'm not going to just leave it there. Like I was so thankful for what they brought in about the white blood count. But I also knew like there's medicine here for me. So of course I went much deeper and dived into their offerings and their website and came across their Ascension, it's called, let me tell you, the Ascension Sacraments for Cosmic and Earthly Nutritional Diet. I will link the whole, it's a free offering and they are in different octaves and it goes, you start at 1.1 and you go all the way down. And basically each step helps you to start dealing with your body and understanding that we have to take this body with us and we have to treat it with kindness and gratitude and cleansing and all of the things. So the first thing in that episode, I pull cards for every episode that I do. And in that episode, I pulled the card silver and I couldn't understand at the time why I was pulling that card. Well, a deeper dive into the Gabriels, I found that one of their sacraments that they recommend for a healthy ascension diet is colloidal silver. Now, that led me into researching colloidal silver and understanding that this is what people used back in the day to... Silver was used as a natural antibiotic that was used for centuries to combat bacteria and infectious diseases. So I purchased this bottle, another tincture. I put about a tablespoon under my tongue for about 30 seconds in the morning. This is before I eat. And then I just swallow it. It tastes like water. There's nothing, no taste to it. But I hadn't had any immune issues, but this says here it's a daily immune support. And because my white blood count is going down and I still do have to go through the process of working with the doctor on that, I wanted to have a natural support for my immune system while I'm, in this process of going down that rabbit hole. So, I don't get sick often, but I have this as another support in my arsenal right now, which led me to the next biggest thing. And this one is, maybe controversial, but I'm going to put it out there. My liver started speaking to me and asking for support very early on in my ascension. Now, this could be from many things, but a normal diet, the liver is the filter for everything that we put into our mouth and that comes through our nose, basically. So whatever we ingest, our liver is filtering before it hits the system. And that means that our liver can be taxed at times. And so back when I first, it would have been during COVID, I was, drawn to doing celery juice cleanses. And I did that every morning for about 2.5 years. And in the beginning, and this may be TMI, but this episode is probably going to be a lot of TMI. So warning you now. When I started the celery juice cleanse, I was a person that was like chronically constipated. I have had periods where I wouldn't go for a month, and that was an extreme case, but I was under a lot of pressure with work and I had walking pneumonia and I was really in a bad place. So I had to get doctor support on that one. But this is something that definitely has been chronic in my life. So when I started taking celery juice, I noticed right away that I was having regular bowel movements. And in those bowel movements, as I would wipe, I would notice little balls of metal. They look like little ball, like tiny, almost like imagine like a BB size, like a tiny little ball of metals coming out. And I was like, what is going on? And then I learned that the celery juice helps to detoxify and clean out the metals in our liver. So then I was like, oh, well, that's just another side effect of this great thing that now I'm not constipated. And so I stayed on that journey for, 2.5 years. And then almost exactly a year ago, I got really sick. And after that sickness, and I'm going to just say that was the last time I got sick. And it was the day after I got married. And my whole system, I'm sure it was like the stress of having family in town and planning a wedding and all of that stuff. But my system just collapsed. And in that collapse, I came to craving kale. And I'm not just oh, who doesn't like a salad now and then? No. For me, it's been every single day I have to have a huge bowl of kale. And I always usually have a lot of fresh fruit and some walnuts with it. And I massage the kale with olive oil and salt and honey. And so it's on the sweeter side, but it was something that my body physically needed every day. And through my thinking about it, I was like, I wonder what kale, why is it kale? Obviously I'm drawn to these natural foods, but what is it about kale? Well, it turns out that kale is also a liver detoxifier. So I was like, oh, well, this just must be the next layer from the celery juice. It's just going deeper with the kale. But then when I found the Gabriel's, the Ascension nutritional diet offering, which again, I will link below, they talked about a liver cleanse. And they say that the cleansing the liver, which is the main filtration system to eliminate chemicals, pesticides, heavy metals, toxins, and allopathic drugs to purify the body and increase the ascension frequency. And one of the things I read, and so they directed me to somebody that his name is Andreas Mortiz. And in my research, understanding how he came up with this protocol and all of the things, and it's like almost 200 pages long, which again, they offer for free. So I'm going to link it below and you can go on your own journey. But in reading that, I read that it is also when you cleanse your liver, you are helping yourself with menopause. Because if your body isn't working to, deal with all the damage and all the things that are in the bile ducts of the liver, it can actually let the natural process of aging move through you much easier, like no inflammation. There's a whole list of them. And, for me personally, I was just at this, avenue of thinking about menopause. So I was like, okay. So it's very specific. You need to do it around the full moon or after a full moon. So I plan this out, and part of the plan is you have to do a colon cleanse before you do the actual liver cleanse. And the liver cleanse is going to, and the whole thing that it talks about is it's going to help you release gallstones. Now, I've never had an ultrasound of my gallbladder or, I was like, do we all have gallstones? Guess what? We do. And I'm going to go into it, but I told Richard, he's like, no, that can't be true. I'm like, well, I'm going to find out because I'm definitely, this came into my life for a reason and I'm going down the path. So then the way that this works is that we have to do, it's like a 6-day or a week process. So the first 6 days are not terrible at all. All you have to do is drink a liter of apple juice every day. So the first day it's really hard because apple juice is super sweet. And if your normal drink is water, it'll feel hard. So I did research and found that at Whole Foods, and we have another health food store called Barron's, they carried 50% less sugar apple juice. So that I went and bought that. So you have to drink a liter of apple juice a day. And what this is doing is the acid in it is softening those gallstones to, instead of being hard, they turn into like a putty-like material, which in 6 days will be able to pass through your bile ducts with ease, without pain. So I'm like, okay, I'm on this road. Everything that comes into us or through us is for us. That's how I look at everything in life now. So, I think on the 5th day is when I got the colon cleanse, and I found a woman that was local. She was a spiritual person. I felt really safe, in her website, the way that she talks about, her gentleness and all of that. And I had one before when I lived in New York after I did a juice cleanse. So I kind of had an idea of what to expect. But I went and met with her, and we talked about it. And I told her I was doing the liver cleanse, and she asked who my teacher was. And I was like, I don't have a teacher. And she's like, is it Andreas Moritz's liver cleanse? And I said, yeah. And she goes, oh, I get a lot of people that are doing that cleanse. And usually, we live in San Diego. So she said, usually it's through Tony Robbins, who lives in San Diego as well. And he recommends this liver cleanse as well, which I was like, oh, interesting. I mean, I had never heard of it before it came through the Gabriel. So, okay. And she tells me it's tough, but we'll get you there. So I do the colon cleanse, and it wasn't terrible. It is weird and uncomfortable if you've never done one before, but if you go into it, especially with a practitioner that is gentle and very chill, we did a meditation together before we started. She was very good at helping me relax, because that's the whole point. You have to relax your whole system to allow all of the stuff in your colons to let go. And I let go of everything, to the point where I saw, the night before I had lentils for dinner, and I saw the lentils. So I was like, okay, I know I'm clean. I know when I last ate, and I hadn't eaten before I had the cleanse that day. So I felt okay, I feel clean. And already with that process, I felt lighter and just, I don't know, I guess I would say simpler. Imagine if your body is constantly pulling, you've heard of leaky gut, I'm sure, but basically when you're a constipated person, especially, you have these toxins that are in the waste that leak into your gut. And for me, since I had been on the celery cleanse and then the kale, I've been regular. I haven't been a constipated person anymore. But in general, I don't know how long the stool's staying in there before it leaves. Probably at least a week, because there's so much for it to move through. So having all of it removed, it's like a base, like a place to start. So then a few days later, I ended up having to extend my apple juice, because it landed that the 6th day was going to be on a Saturday, and I was having guests over, and Richard was making pizza, and I was like, I don't know what to expect, so I'm just going to wait. So I delayed it for a few days. So I just continued with the apple juice for a few more days. So come to the day of the cleanse. This is probably the first days, 6 days, no problem. Anybody can drink a liter of apple juice. The day of the cleanse is challenging. But what happened is that you can only have a breakfast of I had oatmeal, overnight oats with some chia seeds and some fruit. And then you are allowed a lunch of steamed vegetables and rice if you feel the need to have lunch, but I just had breakfast. And then you just drink water the rest of the day, and then by 6 p.m. you start the cleanse. And the cleanse is Epsom salt, and you basically have 4 jars of filtered water, and you put a tablespoon of Epsom salt into each of them. And you shake them up and you kind of set them aside and you wait until their turn comes in. So the first thing at 6 p.m. on that day of the cleanse, you have to drink one of those jars of Epsom salt. But he had given us a tip here, which was you may want to find a big straw and use a straw to drink it, because if you can get the straw to the back of your throat so it doesn't go through your taste buds, it'll be a lot easier. Okay, so I had a Starbucks straw in there and I'm like, drinking it down. It is the worst taste I have ever experienced in my entire life. And I mean, I would say comparable, but much less terrible is ayahuasca. This stuff is like bitter, like really bitter, and just everything in your body wants to heave it right back up. And it's not even that much. Like, it's like a 3/4 cup of water. So it's not like you're having to drink like 8 ounces or anything, but it is potent and strong and hard. But I get through it. And then you have to wait, like you're waiting. And then at 8 p.m. you take another one of those jars of Epsom salt and you have to drink that. And the whole point of this process is, again, you have to eliminate everything in your colons before you can move to the actual cleanse. And I remember I called my cousin on FaceTime and we're talking and I'm telling her about the cleanse and what I'm doing. And I was feeling like I'm hungry. I can't, like it wasn't a great moment. But all of a sudden, as we're talking, I'm like, I think I gotta go to the bathroom. And I was like, do you want to come with me? She's like, sure. So I bring the FaceTime into the bathroom and to put it down on the counter, and right away I knew, like, no, you don't want to be here for this. She's like, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm telling you guys, like, this Epsom salt, the 2 glasses, everything came out, because I had the colon cleanse about 4 days now before this, that I actually did the cleanse. And they do suggest doing the colon cleanse on the 5th or 6th day, but because I ended up extending my apple juice time, I had eaten for 4 days. So this Epsom salt just ripped through me like nothing. And to the point where you only are excreting water like that. And the Epsom salt makes a lot of water release from your body as well. So yeah, like it was a lot of water near the end. So I know my colon is clean again. And then at 10 p.m., they do say if the Epsom salt you don't release, then you have to do a water enema, which I had gotten because I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, so I better be prepared. Thankfully, I didn't have to go to that direction because these Epsom salts, yes, it cleaned out everything. Okay, so at 10 p.m., this is the next step. You have to juice fresh grapefruits. And you have to get about, again, a 3/4 cup in a jar. And then you add a 1/2 cup of cold pressed olive oil to the jar of grapefruit juice. And then you shake it really hard until they're combined. And then you have to drink that. And that wasn't terrible. Like, I had the straw for that too, just in case it was going to be, but it's a very strange mixture. So it's not enjoyable, but it is tolerable. It is not bad. Okay, so you drink that, and the moment you finish drinking that, you need to lay down. And then they say try to sleep through the night. Well, I'm still like excreting water because so much Epsom salt is just moving through me still. And so I'm getting up in the middle of the night and going to the bathroom, and I'm like, at this point, I'm like, okay, what the hell am I doing to my body? And what if this doesn't even work? Here's where all of my, concerns start coming in. I'm like, okay, I kind of cheated and I found like low sugar apple juice. Is that going to change the outcome? Did I, where else did I mess up? Because I had extended the apple juice. So I was like, maybe that's not going to make it work. And I'm talking to myself and thinking like, this is a lot. And I don't even know what the outcome's going to be, because what if it doesn't actually work? Well, let me tell you. The next morning, I have to get up and have the 3rd glass of Epsom salt at 6 a.m. And now that I already know what it tastes like, I'm like, I don't want to. And I'm having a really difficult time with wanting to even go down that road. And I'm thinking like, can I actually even do this? Am I going to gag it up right away? Like, so I go down to let the dogs out to go to the bathroom and feed them. And it's like 5:45. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go back up to bed and come back at 6 o'clock to take this glass. And it's like sitting there staring at me on the counter. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I grab the straw, I shove it to the back of my throat, and I'm just like trying to get it down as fast as I can. And I like everything in me wants to throw up. And I'm just like, once it's down, it's not like if you have a burp, you don't taste it. So it's not like but you do have to drink another glass, like a sip of water to get rid of the taste. And I go lay down and I'm like, okay, I can hear like some rumblings. And I'm like, dude, I'm already cleaned out. Like, why more Epsom salt? and I'm like, oh, so I sleep for a couple more hours. And then the fourth and final glass of this happens at 8 a.m. And I'm like, oh God. So I take it, I get it down. And then I wait and nothing happens. And the dogs are going crazy because I always take them for a morning walk. And they're like, when are we going for our walk? And I'm looking at them like, you don't understand. I don't even know if I can leave the house. And I'm like, but by 9 o'clock, nothing had happened. So I'm like, maybe it's just not going to work for me. Like maybe I did something wrong. I don't know. So I get them in the car and we go to where we go for our hike. And I'm like, like feeling fine, but I'm noticing on the drive there that through the bumps of the car, I'm like, like I'm feeling things moving in my stomach. And we get to the field and we start walking and I'm just like, okay, if maybe then it pops into my head, intuition, that nature is going to help me release them. And I realized like, oh, it wasn't moving because I was like, just like at home waiting for it to happen. But walking actually made it happen. And we get like maybe, I don't know, 3/4 of the way how we normally go. And it hit. And I was like, oh, turn around, girls, run. And I'm like, we're running back to the car. And all I'm doing is like praying. Please let me make it home. Please let me make it home. Please let me make it home. And I'm not even exaggerating on this, okay? So I get home by 10 a.m. and I'm running to the bathroom. and again, because at this point, you've not eaten anything. It's just water coming out. But guess what's in there? At that time, it was about 20 gallstones. And I'm not even exaggerating. And I'm going to put up a picture of what these gallstones look like. They're kind of like a pea green color, and they are about the size of peas. Some are a little bit smaller, some are bigger, but in general, this is what they look like. And they float. They don't go like your stool, sinks. These float, so you can clearly see them. And you're only letting out water at this point. And I look down and I'm like, oh, it works. And I realize I have gallstones. And that's why everybody has gallstones. So I'm like, okay, so now I know this is why this is the fastest way to clean the body for this ascension process. If you can excrete these stones, and I didn't go in and fish them out and feel them, but in the handout that I'm going to share with you guys, it says they're like a putty texture. I didn't feel them go through my bile ducts. Like there was no pain at all associated with this, other than the uncomfortableness of going to the bathroom all the time. But so then for the next 4 hours, I had to be near the bathroom, and more just kept coming out and coming out and coming out. And then we're allowed to eat starting around 10 a.m. And you start with a fresh squeezed juice or fruit. And then you can start to add back food in. And I mean, you don't have another bowel movement for a couple days because you don't, the food that you start eating isn't down there. So you will still have water coming out with the gallstones for like the rest of the day. And I remember the last one, it was like probably the biggest one, and it was like covered in like a tan color, and then you could tell it was still green on the inside. And I think those are the ones that are considered the older stones. And here's the thing. Once you start this process, they say that you want to continue to do this liver cleanse every month or so until you don't get any more gallstones. That's the point. You're trying to cleanse the liver of all of the gallstones. And when you cleanse it, like more just move up to the front of the ducts and, you'll feel great. And then you'll start to feel sluggish again because those older stones are starting to move to the front because they want to be released. And let me tell you, it was a process, but right as soon as I saw those stones in the toilet, I was like, oh, I'm doing this again. How could you not? I mean, if we all carry these, why would we not clean them? If we know how to do it and we can move these through our body in a safe, natural way. And then I forgot to mention, the woman that did my colon cleanse, she told me that if I can't tolerate the Epsom salt, they do sell pills that you can buy for Epsom salt, so you can just take the pill with a glass of water. And 2 glasses in, as I was talking to my cousin before it all started coming out, I was like on Amazon searching for these pills, and I found them. And it says you can get them by the next morning by 7 a.m. And I'm contemplating, should I buy them? Because I cannot have 2 more glasses of this. And we're going through it. And I'm like, but even if they come at 7 a.m., it's going to be too late. I have to take it at 6 a.m. And I ended up just powering through the glasses. But going forward, I will only be taking those pills. So if you eliminate the terrible taste of Epsom salt, this cleanse is going to clean your system. And I am just grateful that I happened upon this, and also know that everything happens in the timing that it's supposed to. So if you haven't yet gotten the intuition that you are to clean your liver, you can start gentle and definitely read this whole, it's like 200-page PDF of all the things that you can do. But understanding that the whole process and the journey is that we need to clean out those gallstones. So that's what I've been through this week. And also, I want to talk about one other thing, which is water. So I've been getting a lot of signs about water recently. And I mean, in the last 2 weeks, mainly that. And again, timing, I don't know timing. It feels like it's happening soon. And I say that because I want you to know how I feel it. But at the same time doesn't exist when you get downloads. So I don't know what that means, if it's even in our lifetime. But I also feel like it's something that we should be talking about. That the waters are rising. They will rise. And with that, it means that the current water systems, like whether you're on a city, water pump, or you have a well, or however you get your water. Or let's even talk about bottled water, because right now I drink the Carlsbad alkaline water, and I can get this at my Costco, and it's the best water that I can get in my area. So that's what I drink because I can get it. But what I feel is that there is going to come a time that we're not going to be able to get bottled water. And so it's come up to me through a few different avenues. And I even had a talk with Anita about it this morning, because I'm like, am I going crazy, or is this really a thing? So the message that I've been getting is that we need to have a way to filter whatever water we can get. Almost like, people that go camping and they have these little pump water filtration things like that, but for your family. So I've been doing research, and I came across this thing called the Berkey gravity-fed water filtration system, and it comes in different sizes, and I'll put a picture here. It's just like a cylinder that you fill from the top, and it filters through these different filters to get to clean water. And this is the one that I'm feeling drawn towards. I'm putting this out there because I want to have this as a conversation. If you guys have a water filtration system, and the reason I want it to be gravity fed is, what if we don't have power? What if we turn on you have one that's connected to your tap and it doesn't work? I want to have a way to get clean water without technology, is the way that I feel it. So I'm not trying to be alarmist, but I do want to have this conversation. So if any of you guys have a water filtration system that is similar to this or that you can recommend, searching on Amazon, this one is the best that I've seen. And it's not, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not super expensive for the knowing that you will always be able to get clean water. And these filters last for up to 6,000 gallons. So at least like I'm feeling like this is the way that I'm being led. So I talked to Zanita and she said, yeah, you need to have a filter system at home. You know, in the meantime, we can buy the waters that we can buy. And even if you're having Mountain Valley water delivered to your house, if the waters rise, all of our normal systems of delivery are going to stop. So help me understand what your guys' process is going to be for that. And I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but it feels like this is something that we need to do to start preparing for that day. I hope that you don't take this as like she's trying to scare us, because I'm definitely not, but I keep feeling it. And then I'll put it to this thing has been in my cart for about a month. And then it keeps coming back up to my consciousness. And it's like, do I just pull the trigger? Or so I've started talking about it. I've talked to someone in the Energy Tribe Circle. I talked to Zanita, and both people got the same hits. So I wanted to share that as something to start to bring into your consciousness and just feel into. I hope that this adventure of my liver cleanse is helpful, and I hope it's made you curious, because as you start tuning into the body, the liver is going to be the first thing that wants to talk and be seen. It has to be. Like the white blood cells, the way I feel it is it's working on its own. I don't need to do anything. I did get the colloidal silver because I pulled the card and I was like, okay, I'm getting it. I get it. But in this case, the liver cleanse is something that we have to proactively do. And I think that this kind of push for me to talk about this journey is because I want it in your field. You know, play with it, feel with it, and enjoy it if you do partake.